Okay, I think this is working. Let's see. All right, well, I think we are live. Good morning, whoever is out there. Let's see. Oh, can't hear audio. Are you muted? Let's see. I'm unmuted. Let me see. Got it. Oh, we're good? Yeah. Okay. All right. Hi, good morning. I think there may just be one person or two. Can't really tell right now. People may join later. So welcome to Prenatal Yoga. My name is Maureen. And we are going to get started in just a moment. Before we do, make sure you have whatever props will support your practice. So if you do happen to have 2 blocks and a bolster, great. If not, no worries. We can do our practice without any props. Something else that might be helpful would be a blanket or a towel or something, maybe even a cushion, something to sit upon that may make you more comfortable, or that you can kneel on if you're on a very hard floor or your mat's a little thinner, so your knees feel comfortable being on hands and knees. So I have a bolster and 2 blocks. I'll offer options with them and without. So let's come onto our mats. Okay, so we're going to get settled in here. You're gonna have a comfortable seat. So that can be just sitting right onto your mat with nothing underneath you. That may be using that blanket, towel, whatever, maybe a cushion to sit on so that you can sit upright and you feel comfortable and supported. So if you do have a bolster, you can even sit on that bolster if you'd like to elevate your seat a little bit more, give yourself some more height. And once again, if you do have blocks, yoga blocks, great. If you have something similar, a block-like structure, maybe a couple of large books that you can maybe elevate your hands, I'll offer options with and without, so just keeping that in mind. All right, so a few things I'll just throw at you before we begin. If this were your average class when we would all be together, I usually like to go through and get an idea of where everyone is on their pregnancy journey. So I usually ask what trimester you're in, or how many weeks, or your due date, just something to get an idea of where you are. So that may affect your practice depending on where you are in your pregnancy. If you do happen to be first trimester, you may find that certain things aren't going to feel as great. So any kind of more intense movement, we don't do anything crazy obviously, but you know, something may make you feel a little bit more fatigued, especially if you're already dealing with fatigue. And certain things may trigger nausea. Even if you're not in first trimester, you may find if you're dealing with nausea still, certain poses, certain things we do may not feel right. So skip those as needed, modify, take breaks, whatever you need to do. And then if you are third trimester, you may be in a place where you're starting to get a little more uncomfortable, you're kind of losing space. So you may need to take more breaks and once again, skip certain poses, whatever works best for you. So just listen to your body, just note how you are, note how you're feeling today, and just work with that. So however you need to make this practice work for you, you're at home, you can make this practice however you'd like it to be. So let's begin seated so we can start with some breath work, a little bit of guided meditation, and then we'll move into some more physical movements to start to stretch and open up the body. Once you have a comfortable seat, however you prefer to sit, I'm seated cross-legged. If it's more comfortable, you can stretch your legs out. You can even sit into a chair if you want to feel a little bit more lifted and have your legs more comfortable. Go ahead and rest your hands on your knees or on your lap. Have the palms face down for now. We'll change that in a moment, but just allow the palms to face down to help ground you a bit more. So your sit bones are rooted into your mat or whatever you're seated upon. Your hands feel a little bit heavier as they rest on your body. And then take a moment to sit upright just a little bit more. Just try to get a little bit more stretch through the upper body, lengthening of the spine, allowing the shoulders to draw slightly back and down so that the neck can feel long as well. And it feels like the top of the head can just reach up to the ceiling. So now that you have a slightly taller posture, close your eyes. And then just notice what changes once the eyes are closed. So sometimes when you close your eyes, you start to just notice certain parts of the body that may be a little bit more tight, a little bit more uncomfortable. You may start to notice the way you're breathing a bit more. So just observe that, make those observations. And then begin to bring even more awareness to your breath. Start to notice how long each breath is. Not only the inhales, but the exhales. Notice if they match one another or if one is longer than the other. And then also notice how full and complete the breath feels, or perhaps doesn't feel right now. We're going to work to take slightly fuller, bigger breaths that move into the entire body. So we're trying to create a little bit more space. So a lot of times, especially once baby's getting a little bit bigger later on in the pregnancy, there's a little bit of a fight for space. There doesn't feel like there is as much room as you used to have, and that's very true. So we're working to stretch and open into those places and breathe into those places to create more space for ourselves and for baby. So as you start to take that note of the breath, turn your palms up to face the ceiling and just rest the backs of your hands on your knees or lap. And just notice if that helps to lift you a little bit more with the palms facing up. Feel even taller, even more elevated. So you're keeping that grounded sensation, but you're also bringing a little bit more awareness of the lift up away from that ground. And then continuing to breathe, just let the breath move in and out through the nose. So you're working to find that evenness to the breath, to the inhales and the exhales, and a little bit of a fuller breath. Start to feel like the breath can really expand a little bit more. I'm going to walk us through a little bit more of that, of breath awareness. Bring one hand over your belly. So have that hand fairly low, so it's pretty much right over your womb space. And then take your other hand behind your back. So the back of the hand is at about your middle back or somewhere between your middle back and your lower back. So it's just resting behind you, slightly higher than the hand in front of you. And then with your next inhale, try to fill up both hands equally with breath. So you're building the breath from below and letting it move into the hand so it fills up the hand in front of you, but also the one behind you so that it feels like the back body, which we can't see, we can breathe into and create more space there. Maybe even feeling like the back ribs can lift up off of the waist to feel a little bit taller and a little bit longer. Take a couple more breaths like that into the hands. Then transfer your hands to the sides of your body. Not your waist, but your rib cage. So your hands are holding your rib cage. Try to make sure the shoulders don't start to hunch up. And then breathe into your hands. But before you go into the hands, try to start from low. So where you were breathing before, low belly and back ribs, and then into the sides of the ribs, so you start to expand outwards. So you're taking up a little bit more space in the room as you breathe in and out through the nose. Take a couple more breaths like that, letting your rib cage move outward into your hands. And then keeping that, but adding on, lay one hand over your chest, lay the other hand on top of that. With your next inhale, start from the ground below you. Bring that breath into the body, fill up the low belly, the back ribs, the sides of the ribs, and then let that breath move all the way up into the hands so that it lifts and opens the chest, so that you really create a lot more space in which to breathe. And then take maybe about 4 or 5 breaths like that. And then as you work these full body breaths, allow them to truly feel like they're moving into the entire body. So not just the places where we had our hands, but beyond that. So it moves into the arms and the legs, into the neck, and all the way up to the top of the head. And then from here, simply transfer the hands to press together in front of your chest. So let your thumbs just rest at your sternum or breastbone. And then the fingers point up toward your chin. The shoulders continue to draw slightly back and down. The torso is long and you're seated nice and tall. And as you continue these full body breaths, do this for me. Take an inhale through your nose. And then with your exhale, open your mouth and give a nice long sigh. Let it be audible. So don't worry about anyone else hearing you. You're at home. Do that 2 more times. Inhale, big full breath in through the nose. Open your mouth. Sigh out completely. And then once more. Inhale, draw all of that breath into the body. And then with your exhale, give a long sigh and release all of that back out. Beautiful. And then just kind of notice if that sigh allowed your nervous system to feel perhaps a little bit more calm. It's a nice way to get rid of a little tension. So keeping that in mind, you can always come back to a sigh at any point during the class. Any of these movements, if you're starting to feel that the breath got away from you or you're feeling a little tense or a little tightness somewhere, breathe it out. And take a couple more breaths, just seated nice and tall with the hands in front of the heart. And then slowly open your eyes. Once your eyes are open, becoming aware of your surroundings again, release your hands next to you. We're going to remain seated, but I'm going to encourage you to switch the way your legs are crossed or the way you're seated if you haven't already. So sometimes we feel like we've been seated one way for too long, we get a little stuck, so I'm just going to cross the other shin in front. If you need to do a little kind of shift side to side, if that feels nice. And then find that tall seat again. I'm going to have us start to do a few neck stretches and then moving into some side stretches. So turning your palms down once again on your knees or on your lap. Begin to bow your chin to your chest. So keep the spine long, just the cervical spine is stretching. You're just letting your chin draw down to your chest so you're gazing at the floor right in front of your legs. And then with the head low like that, you're going to roll it toward the right. So you're going to bring your right ear closer to your right shoulder so the left shoulder releases further down. So you're just kind of tilting your head to the right. So you're facing forward, just your head is nodding over to the right side. And then very slowly draw it all the way back down through center. bowing the chin to the chest, and then taking it over to the other side, rolling over towards that left shoulder, right shoulder drawing away from your right ear. And just a little tilt of the head to that side. Then bringing your head slowly back down through center, chin to the chest. Keep that. Stretch your arms out. So you're still gazing down. Your arms are extending outward like wings. Have your palms facing down for now. And then really stretch through each fingertip. And then as you begin to slowly lift your head, you're going to turn your palms to face forward. Do this movement very slowly, like you're turning levers. And then once you're looking straight ahead and your palms face forward, begin to turn the palms up and start to lean the head back ever so gently. Take your time doing this so you're feeling the arms stretch. You're really reaching across as far as you can to both sides of the room. Once the palms are all the way up and you're looking towards the ceiling, pretend you had 2 heavy weights or sandbags on your hands and press very slowly, slowly up toward the ceiling. As you reach up nice and high and look up, feel free to keep the hands a little wider than the shoulders so the shoulders don't hunch. Then take another inhale, sit even taller, lift everything up to the ceiling. And then bend your elbows. As you exhale, press the hands down to your heart. Bring them all the way back in front of you. Great, very nice. Take the hands apart, reach out. Palms can face down or forward. Now lean over towards the right. So you're just reaching the right hand further over. And then place the hands softly down to the ground or whatever you're seated upon. Look to the left hand, flip it up and reach it up nice and high. Notice if the shoulder started to creep up, draw it down the back. Maybe go a little further if it feels nice to stretch into the rib cage. Try to avoid a collapse into this right side. Try to keep that a little bit lifted as well. And then take an inhale, come all the way back up through center, arms reach up. Take it to the other side, left arm extends to the left, hand comes to the ground. Flip the right palm up, reach it up high. Shoulders softly melt down the back. Maybe reach a little further, keeping your right hip anchored, keeping the shoulders softening, keeping the chest open. Maybe looking forward, maybe looking underneath the top arm. And then as you inhale, come up through center. Let's do this with the breath a little faster. Reach over to the right, exhale, right hand down, left hand up and over. With your inhale, come all the way through center. Exhale, tip it to the other side. Reach up and over. Inhale through center. Exhale over to the right. Inhale through center. Keep the torso long. Exhale to the left. Inhale center. Exhale to the other side. Inhale through center. Exhale over to the left. Once more each side. Exhaling over to the right. Inhaling center. Exhaling left. Then inhale, come through center, stay center, reach a little further across the chest. Once again, palms rotate up, gaze follows, inhale, reach for the ceiling, and then exhale, draw the hands back down to the heart. Great. Let's begin to come forward from our seat to hands and knees. So you can place blanket, cushion, something under the knees if you prefer, a towel, whatever you need. And then you're going to come into a tabletop position. So you're going to be on hands and knees. So you're on all fours. So your wrists are under your shoulders, your knees are under your hips, toes are uncurled, just stretched behind you. And then take an inhale, start to lift the chest forward through the upper arms and look just slightly past your mat. So not a big dip in the lower back, just a little bit of a pulling forward of the chest. Then with your exhale, now take a big rounding of the back body as you push into the mat, rounding into cat's breath. Head and the neck hang, gaze toward your belly. Let's move with the breath. Inhale, heart forward again, look ahead. Exhale, rounding through the upper back to a cat's breath. Inhale, heart forward, lengthen. Exhale, round. Do that a couple more times, back and forth with cat and cow, letting your breath guide your movement. And now, next time you come to an inhale, pause here, widen your knees a bit. And then with your knees wider, wag your hips a little side to side. And if you need to, you can take your hands wider as well. You're gonna start to circle your hips. So you're gonna shift toward your heels a bit more, roll to the other side, forward over your hands to the opposite side. And do that maybe about 3 or 4 times one direction. These can be small, these can be really big. You can roll your head around if that feels good. So just allow yourself to move all the way around. Reversing directions when you're ready. Go the other way a few times. And if it feels nice to throw in that open mouth exhale, notice if you are starting to kind of tense certain parts of the body. See if you can allow the breath to let that go. And then as you come back through center, hands and knees, you're going to curl your toes behind you, lift your knees up, push your hips up into the air, press the thighs back, come into a downward facing dog. So prenatal down dog, as wide as you need. Your feet can be as wide as your mat if you like. Your hands can be wider than your shoulders. Start to bend one knee and then the other, and let your hips maybe wag a little side to side as you do that. So allow yourself to move in your down dog, whatever movements feel good. Make sure you're not dunking into the wrists. You're actually pressing firmly into the base of all 10 fingers and extending up away from the front of your mat to send your hips high and your legs feel like they're pressing behind you toward the wall that's behind you. And then slowly still that pedaling. Gently take the knees back down. We're going to take a child's pose. So depending on where you are in your pregnancy, if it's comfortable to come into a full child's pose sitting on your heels, arms resting, forehead on the mat, you can do that. If the belly is not allowing you to get all the way to the ground, and just stay with your hips elevated, just cross your forearms to the mat. You can just rest your forehead there. So obviously, if child's pose feels nice, you can come back to it, revisit it as needed. If you need to take a break, you can also just come to a comfortable seat. So if things start to move a little too fast and you're getting a little too kind of tired or the breath gets a little too fast for your liking, throw in a child's pose, throw in something restful to make your body feel better. When you're ready to come back up to your hands and your knees, I'm going to have you return to that even tabletop position. So wrists are under the shoulders and then knees are right underneath the hips. And then I'm going to have you step your right foot back and come onto the ball of the foot. And then just for a moment, let's get a little heel stretch. So have the ball of the foot sealed with the heel right above it. And then looking just past your mat, you're going to press into your hands. And you're going to move your shoulders behind your wrists and your heel behind the ball of the foot, but you're going to keep the foot sealed and the legs straight. So the more you push the mat away from you and reach that heel as far back behind you as you can, you'll feel a nice stretch in the back of that right calf muscle. And then you're going to shift forward, lower the knee down, and then take a moment. If you need to come off the hands periodically, you can kind of shake it out or rotate the wrists if it gets a little too much. And then when you're ready, take the other side, step the left foot back, heel above the ball of the foot to begin. And then start to work that calf stretch. So move the heel back. Really feel like you're pushing the ball of the foot into the ground and pressing your hands into your mat to move your shoulders behind your wrists. So you're kind of reaching all the way back while keeping the foot sealed. So the left leg is straight and the left calf muscle is extending and stretching toward the heel. And then when you're ready, come back here, lower the knee down. Let's come off the hands for a moment. Just walk your hands toward you. Come to kneeling so that your hips are above the knees. And then let's take a little shoulder stretch. You're going to reach behind you. Interlace your fingers. Keep your elbows a little bit bent for now. So having the hips right above the knees and toes uncurled, you're going to slide your clasped hands down the lower back. So brushing your tailbone all the way down to the backs of the knees, starting to straighten the arms. And then you're going to lift your chest higher away from the ground. Roll the shoulders a little further back. Pull the chest higher to the ceiling. Maybe lean the head back. So if you feel this going into the lower back, pause for a moment. Lift the back ribs higher up off the waist. And then you're going to get a little more into the middle and upper back in more of a shoulder stretch. So shoulders roll behind you, chest or sternum pulls toward the ceiling. And then unclasp your hands, reach all the way out, go to the ceiling as you look up. And then exhale, bring the hands back to the heart. And then leaning forward, go ahead and come back to your hands and your knees. Now from here, starting off in that same tabletop, step your right foot back and come onto the ball of the foot. And then keep the ball of the foot sealed for now. Reach your left arm straight forward out in front of you. So opposite arm and leg. And then either stay here and breathe, or if you want to work the balance, go ahead and float that right foot up off of the ground. Flex the foot, press the heel all the way behind you, lengthening through that right leg as the left arm reaches further ahead. Make sure you're not throwing the head back, no straining the neck, maybe just gazing at the front of your mat. Take another inhale. And then lower to hands and knees as you exhale. And then rotate that right wrist. Take a moment here. Come back to hands and knees. Other side, step the left foot back. And just start with the foot sealed, legs straight. And then leaning into that left hand, right arm extends forward. So if balance is a little easier by keeping the back foot sealed, great. Maybe take it up for a second, tap it down. Maybe lift it and try to bring that heel to the same height as your hip, so you're stretching it all the way behind you. And then that opposite arm is reaching further forward. And then feel like you're just gently hugging maybe toward your belly as you lift up away from the ground and extend. And then take it to hands and knees. Exhale. Rotate that other wrist. Notice if you're holding your breath while we were doing that. Take a moment and let yourself say, hey, I can still breathe even if I'm holding a pose. All right, from here, I'm going to have us do this. So I'm going to turn to face you so it's a little easier to see. So you're staying on all fours. You're going to lift your right knee and you're going to step the right foot to the side. You're going to point the toes forward so the arch of the foot is right across from your left knee. And then you're going to start to walk your hands back. You're going to come up to a half kneeling position. So you're kneeling on your left knee, your right leg is extended like a slide. Bring your hands to your hips for a moment. And then let the upper body lift up away from the ground. Feel nice and long through the torso, through both sides of the waist. And then extend your left arm to the left. Rotate the palm up. As you inhale, reach up for the ceiling. And then with your exhale, begin to tip over the extended leg. So maybe you just go a little bit, you're feeling that really bigger side stretch. Maybe you go further, reaching further to the right. Maybe your right hand starts to move down the leg to increase the stretch. Notice if the shoulders hunch. Try to lengthen that under right side of the waist as well as that left side. You're looking forward or up at the ceiling. And then with your inhale, coming all the way back upright, hands on hips, bend your right knee a bit. You're going to start to walk it forward to the front of your mat. You're going to heel toe your foot so that it is forward. And then have the foot outside of the hip. Don't worry about getting it right in line with the hip. You're going to want a little more space, so enough space that you can start to lean forward. So right hand can come to thigh. As you lean forward, you're going to reach for the ground with your left hand. If the ground feels too low, and you have blocks or books or something to elevate, you can place your hand there. And then once you have enough support, you're going to walk that right foot maybe even further to the right. So give yourself some space here. And then you're going to inhale and stretch forward. As you do that, let your back left hip feel like it's releasing down toward the ground. And then with your next exhale, you're going to start a gentle twist to the right, toward the bent knee. Feel free to push that knee further away from you. You can even lift the inner edge of the foot so you're creating space, but also maybe even stretching the inner right thigh. And then maybe lean the head back towards the left. So you're opening the chest. Try to not let this bottom shoulder hunch forward. Try to draw it back. Keep the chest open. Nice big stretch. And then very slowly, come back onto the sole of the foot if you lifted the inner foot. And then do this carefully. Wiggle your foot further back, no jerky movements. Just take your time as you walk the foot further back. And then take that right hand down and lower the left knee. So if you're using a blanket, you can move it to the other side, or blanket, a block, move it to the other side. Once you're back to an even tabletop all fours, you're gonna do that on the other side. Lift the left foot, step it to the left. Let the toes point forward, and you're gonna aim to have the arch right across from your right knee. And then you're gonna walk your hands back, and you're gonna come up to your half kneeling position. And then trying to keep the hips a little more even, keep the upper body a little bit more even. Reach your right arm to the right, turn the palm up, stretch it nice and high to the ceiling. And then take your time as you increase the side stretch. Only go so far that you feel the stretch and you're still breathing and the breath isn't feeling compressed. So if you're wanting to go deeper, maybe take the hand down the leg, optional. Maybe look underneath the right arm. And then with your inhale, slowly rise upright, hands on the hips, and then starting to take that left foot for a little walk to the front of your mat. So bringing it forward in front of you. So you're just coming into a little bit of a soft lunge pose here. And then maybe wiggle those toes a little further forward, just so that the knee doesn't go past the ankle. Beautiful. And then take that hand onto the thigh. And then start to lean forward a bit more. So you're supporting yourself to get to the ground. So once again, hand on block, hand on the floor. If you can easily reach the floor, don't need the block. And then maybe walk the foot even further over. So give yourself some space, especially for baby. Even if your belly's not that big yet, just by kind of giving yourself permission to create some space will be a nice reminder for later on. And then take the foot as wide as you need. Maybe lift the inner arch. Maybe start to push that knee away from you. Pull the upper body further ahead, and then with your exhale, start to twist toward that knee. You decide how deep of a twist you go. If it feels like it's too intense, make it a little softer. Draw the shoulders back. If you want, lean the head back and open the chest. And then moving gently onto the foot, starting to walk it further back. And keep going, take your time to get there. Once it's far enough back that you can lower that left hand down, bring the right knee back onto the mat. So you're working your way back to an even tabletop. And then throw in a little bit of cat and cow for a moment. Just, once again, moving with your breath. And then take a moment to come to neutral on your next inhale. Take your knees wider if you'd like. You're going to curl your toes, lift your knees up, come back to a downward facing dog. So nice and high with the hips, nice extension through the spine. Begin to walk your hands back to your feet slowly so that you come to stand on your feet at the back of the mat. You're in a forward fold. Soften your knees, don't lock the knees. You can bend them as much as you'd like. Maybe let your arms just kind of hang down. If it feels good, clasp your elbows. And then release the crown of the head down. If this gets to be too uncomfortable or if it makes you dizzy, slowly come upright. If you're good hanging forward, get a nice little stretch in the lower back as you just really release. If you'd like to sway or nod the head, whatever feels good. And then let your arms hang down. Bend your knees quite a bit. Roll slowly upright. So keep the knees soft so the upper body starts to lift to come up to stand. And then once you're all the way upright, without the knees locking completely, roll the shoulders back and down. And then transfer the weight evenly into all parts of the feet, all four corners of the feet. And then bring the hands to the heart. All right, we're gonna do some half sun salutes at the back of the mat, some prenatal half sun salutes. Make sure your stance is wide enough for your comfort, for space for the lower back and for stability. You're going to inhale and stretch your arms in a nice big circle, reach up to the ceiling. You can look up if it feels nice. With your exhale, bend your elbows, bend your knees, start to soften, and then just release all the way back down to a forward fold. Place your hands to your shins or your thighs, if you like, as you inhale, and stretch your spine long. Draw the shoulders back. Try to find a flat back as you lengthen towards the front of your mat. With your exhale, release back down to that forward fold. Now, start to bend your knees a lot. Transfer the weight back into the heels. Sweep your arms forward and up at 45-degree angles so you're in a wide-legged chair pose. Sink a little bit deeper into that chair. So really go into the heels, hips drop. With your inhale, press to stand slowly. Straighten the legs, reach all the way up. And then bring the hands to the heart as you exhale. Let's do that a couple more times, moving with the breath, maybe a little faster. Take an inhale, float your arms wide, reach up. With your exhale, soften, melt all the way back down to a forward fold. Inhale, hands to shins or thighs, stretch forward, lengthen. Exhale, folding down again. Knees bend, weight in the heels, arms sweep forward and up, chair pose. Exhale, sit maybe a little deeper. Press to stand as you inhale, straighten upright. Exhale, hands to heart. Taking that again, inhale, float the arms wide, reach up. Exhale, melt all the way down. Inhale, halfway up, lengthen. Forward fold on the exhale, knees bending on the inhale, Utkatasana, chair pose. Exhale, sit deeply into that chair. Inhale, press to stand. Exhale, hands to heart. And take a moment once you're back to standing. Maybe close your eyes for a moment. Notice how your body feels. See if you can soften the shoulders a bit. See if you can lift the chest a bit. Keep the neck long, keep the breath steady, full body breaths. When you're ready, open your eyes, release your hands. I'm going to come to the front of the mat. So if you have a couple of blocks, I do recommend setting them up. So once again, this is optional. You can do this with blocks, without blocks. Blocks may help if you feel it's easier to get into a lunge. So if you're using the blocks, you're just going to have them the highest height, just right in front of your feet. So however wide you have your feet, you're going to place your blocks just right in front of the toes. And then you come back to stand. Bring your hands to your heart. Take an inhale. Release your hands and sweep your arms wide, reaching to the ceiling, look up. With your exhale, melt. Soften to that forward fold. With your inhale, bring the hands to the shins, the thighs, or if you have the blocks, just touch the fingertips to them and stretch forward. With your exhale, bend your knees. So if you have the blocks, hands on blocks. If not, maybe fingertips or hands to ground. You're going to step your right foot back. You're going to come into a high lunge. If you need to, you can wiggle your left foot further to the left. So I'm doing this with blocks. I can also do this on the ground, be a little bit lower. Then I'm going to take my right knee down, uncurl the toes. I'm going to walk my hands to my front thigh, and then come upright. So I'm in a kneeling lunge here. Once again, I don't want my knee to be in front of the ankle, so if the step back wasn't far enough, wiggle the front toes further forward so you have a deeper lunge. And then once you have that deep lunge, bring your hands to your hips. Let the front of the pelvis lift up a little bit more. So it's easy to go into an extreme kind of lumbar arch when you're pregnant because there's so much weight pulling you forward. So maybe lift and hug baby to belly, release the tailbone down. So the pelvis comes back to neutral, so it doesn't strain the lower back. So once you have that upright posture, you're going to take your arms into a cactus shape. So if you need a visual, I'm like this, cactus arms. And you're going to draw the forearms together in front of you. And then with your left knee forward, you're going to cross your right arm over your left. So you're going to either do an eagle wrap like this, elbows lift, Or if that's too intense, you're gonna hold your shoulders. So you're gonna get a little shoulder stretch for a moment. If you do have the shoulders, you can lift the elbows a little higher as well. If you have the arms wrapped, you're gonna move your forearms away from you. So you're taking this lunge with your eagle arms. And then keep that knee bending forward, keep the upper body lifting. When you're ready, unwrap the arms and stretch them out. Turn the palms up as you inhale, like you had heavy weights on the hands, slowly lift, lift, lift. Only go so far that the shoulders don't hunch, so arms can be wider. You can even angle forward a bit. Take another inhale. And then with your exhale, you're going to start to come forward. So if you have blocks, hands on blocks, otherwise hands maybe to the ground. You can be on fingertips. So this left foot can be wide. You're gonna curl your back right toes, lift the knee. Look forward. You're gonna step to the front of your mat. So if it's difficult to get there without blocks, off the foot in a little bit. And then eventually come to a forward fold. Then take an inhale, bring the hands to shins or touch the blocks. And then with your exhale, fold down again. Bend your knees, weight into the heels. You're gonna come back into that chair pose. Utkatasana, sit even deeper. Press to stand as you inhale, reach all the way up. And then exhale the hands to the heart. Take a moment before we go into that second side. So take your time. If you need a little bit more time to step your foot back or bring it forward, give yourself space. If it's too much to step forward with the lunge, you can always kind of come back to hands and knees and walk back and press up. So we're going to take the other side. Hands to heart, standing tall, feet as wide as you need. Inhale, float the arms wide, reach up. Exhale, melt, come all the way into a forward fold. Inhale, hands to shins, thighs, or blocks. With your exhale, bend your knees, touching the ground or the blocks. Now you're going to step your left foot back. So give yourself time. You can always wiggle this foot over. You can do whatever you need to get there. And then softly release the knee. From that lunge, push into your front foot. Walk your hands maybe to your thigh first, and then see if you can get a little bit more upright. So before we go deeper into that lunge, make sure the upper body can lift. So even if the foot is nice and wide outside, the toes and knee are still pointing forward, and the back leg is extending. So the more you get upright here, you'll start to feel the hip flexor of the back leg. Instead of pinching the lower back, if you get enough lift, that is going to stretch as you bend the opposite knee forward. And then when you're ready, take the arms out into that cactus shape. You're going to bring them together in front of you. Left goes over right this time. So either hook and then eagle wrap or hug your shoulders. And then keep the gaze forward for now. Keep the upper body lifting up as high as possible with that opposite right knee bending. Take another breath here. Keep the shoulders drawing out of the ears. And then when you're ready, unclasp the hands or unwrap them and reach out. Palms up. As you inhale, take it slow, gaining even more length to the upper body as you raise the arms to the ceiling. Take another big breath here. And then with your exhale, bring it all the way down. So hands come inside of that foot or on blocks, whatever you need for support. So like I said, if you can't get forward to the front of your mat, just take the knee back, curl the toes, maybe walk your feet forward, or if you prefer, hands on blocks, step it all the way up. Once you're forward, inhale, stretch up halfway, lengthen your spine. Exhale as you fold over the legs, bending your knees a lot. Come into chair pose. All right, take a moment as you sit into the chair. Energetically draw the inner thighs together. And then dig into the heels as you drop the hips a little lower. And then inhale, when you're ready, press to stand, reach up. And then exhale, hands to heart. All right, take a few breaths here. Backs to standing at the front of your mat. Relax the shoulders. Relax the neck and the facial muscles. Soften the knees. Listen to your breath. And when you're ready, open your eyes, release your hands. And then have us stay standing. This time you're going to take a wide stance. So if you need to turn to the side on your mat, if you need the space, you're going to bring your hands to your hips and you're going to step your feet out fairly wide. So this one's going to be a lengthy stance. If you need to measure the distance, stretch your arms out like this. Try to get your ankles under your wrists. So maybe adjust a bit more, widen the feet if you need to. Feet start off parallel. And then bring the hands back onto the hips. Hugging the hips together. I'm going to have you bend your right knee. Once the knee is bent, you're going to turn from the hip socket. So you're going to point your right knee and toes straight forward. Then you're going to keep your upper body facing this same side. You're going to peel your left toes in. Lift the heel just enough to slide it a little further back behind you. So that whole leg is at a 45-degree angle. And then just kind of glance down, make sure your right heel is in a line with the left arch. So that's your alignment, heel to arch. And then bending your right knee deeply forward. Get a nice strong bend and then try to get the knee on top of the ankle. Then slide your hands up from your waist to hold your ribs. If you're turned toward the front thigh, adjust. Let your upper body face the side. Let your rib cage lift. Maybe pick up your own rib cage. Keep that space, shoulders relaxed, stretch the arms really far apart. And then turning just the head, look at your right fingertips. Bend your right knee 1 inch further for just a moment. Then inhale, straighten the right leg and reach the arms to the ceiling. And then exhale, open the arms, bend the knee, look forward, warrior 2 again. Inhale, moving with your breath, reach up, straighten the right leg. Exhale, sink it forward, look ahead. Inhale, lift. Exhale, bend the knee, warrior 2. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, warrior 2. Inhale, once again, reach. Exhale, warrior 2. Stay with the knee bent. Reach your right hand forward, bend your elbow. Take your form to the thigh. Don't collapse over the thigh. Press that form down. Reach the left hand straight up to the ceiling. Parsvakonasana, side angle. Right knee bending. Press that back heel into the mat like crazy. Use this back leg. It's really straight and strong. Then pressing into the feet, inhale. Slowly use the strength of the legs to rise up. Slowly straighten your front leg. Soften the shoulders. Take your left hand to your hip. And then lower that hip down a bit and even it with the right. Looking at your right hand, turn it up. Inhale, reach to the ceiling. Maybe stay here. Maybe get a bigger side body stretch by reaching behind you. Reverse triangle. And then inhaling, come upright. Take your right hand back to your hip. Bend your right knee a bit. And then point your right toes forward again. And then parallel your feet. Right. If you need to, you can wiggle the feet together, shake the legs out if you need to take a break between sides. Or if you're ready to go right into the other side, keeping your feet wide as they are, bring your hands to your hips. Let your left knee bend when you're ready to set up for the other side. Pointing the left toes forward, knee tracking over the toes. Bring the right toes in, peel it in towards you, slide the heel back away from you. So create a true 45-degree angle. Try to get that heel to arch alignment so the feet are set up properly. And then keeping the upper body lifted and facing the side. Let the left knee bend straight forward, not buckling to the side, straight ahead. And then move the hands to the upper body. Hold the rib cage. If it's turning forward, spin it back to neutral. Lift the ribs up, breathe into the hands, and then send your arms really far apart. Shoulders draw down the back. And then head turns to look past the left fingertips as that left knee maybe bends a little further forward. Then moving with your breath, inhale, let that left leg straighten. Reach the arms nice and high. Exhale, soften back to warrior 2. Inhale, reach up high. Exhale, bend that knee, look ahead. Inhale, once again, reach up. Exhale, return to warrior 2. Inhale, arms up, legs straight. Exhale, warrior 2. Inhale, once more, lift. Exhale, once you come back to warrior two, keep that left knee bending where it is. Reach your left arm out past the knee. Then bend the elbow, palm facing up. Forearm comes to the thigh, but not collapsing into the shoulder. Pressing down to keep the neck long. Stretch that right arm straight up to the ceiling. Keep the chest open. Try to keep this left knee bending forward. Try to press more weight into the back heel and the outer edge of your back foot. So really work this back leg. So this is your anchor. Strengthening that leg as you push into the heel of the front foot. With your leg strength leading the way, inhale, come all the way back up to stand, and then straighten the left leg once again. Bring your right hand to your hip. Look to the front palm, flip it up. Inhale, stretch it nice and high to the ceiling. And then you decide how big of a stretch you need. Maybe just a little tip back. Maybe go deeper to stretch into the rib cage. And then inhale, slowly back upright. Holding that hip with your left hand. Soften the left knee. Point the toes. To meet all 10 toes, point forward. And then soften the knees a bit more. Slide the heels in, toes and heels. And keep going until your feet are further together. And then just maybe do a little pedaling, maybe circle the ankles around or let the hips kind of rotate or shift side to side. All right, I'd like us to remain standing for just one more pose. We're gonna do some dynamic squats. So we're gonna further strengthen the legs, connect to the breath. And this is another one where you decide how deep you go into it. Maybe it's just gonna be a subtle squat. Maybe you're working to strengthen the thighs and the legs and the hips a little bit more to go a little deeper. We'll get a nice hip stretch after this. So before we come back to our mats, bring your hands to your hips. Step your feet out, maybe not quite as wide as we just did. So not the same really long stance, but a little bit wider. And then you're gonna turn your toes out 45-degree angles. And then take a moment here, let your knees bend a bit, and then see that they're tracking over the toes. So you may need to adjust how wide the stance is or the angle of the feet so the knees will point over the toes. Good. And then straighten the legs for a moment, standing tall. Stretch your arms out. Turn the palms up. As you inhale, reach for the ceiling. Maybe let the gaze follow. With your exhale, bend your elbows, bend your knees and sit into a squat. Knees point over the toes. You can go slightly into the squat. You can go deep. Stretch your arms out, palms up, press to stand. Inhale, reach up, look up. Exhale, hands to heart, knees bend. Come back to the squat, arms out. Press to stand on the inhale. Exhale, sit into the squat, arms out. Reach for the ceiling. Do this a few more times with your breath. So your inhales press you to stand. Your exhales bring you back to the squat. So the squat can be subtle. It can go deep if you really want to work hard. Continue breathing, just following along with your breath pace. So you're building strength, you're building awareness, you're connecting to your breath and your body. All right, let's take one more. Maybe sit just a little deeper. Arms reach out, take it slow as you press to stand. Straighten all the way upright, reach up nice and high. And then bring the hands to the heart. And hands come to the hips. Little bend of the knees. Bring the toes in. And the heels to walk the rest of the way together. And once again, just shake it out. Move the hips, move the legs. We're going to come back down to sit on our mats. So once you're back to seated, I'm going to have you sit. So I'm going to turn to the side so you can see me. You can stay facing forward on your mat. You're gonna have your feet on the mat, a little wider than your hips. It can be a lot wider if you need the space. You're gonna bring the hands behind you. Hands can be wider than the shoulders. All right, so from here, I'm gonna turn to the side now. So you're in this position where you're leaning back a bit. Make sure the fingers aren't pointing all the way back behind you. You can have them kind of point off to the sides or even slightly forward. So once you're leaning back like this, make sure the elbows don't lock, so you can keep them just a little bit soft. So this is gonna be a nice stretch for the shoulders. So you're gonna press into your hands and your feet. You're gonna come to a reverse tabletop. You're gonna try to get your hips lifted up away from the mat, maybe as high as you can go. So now you feel the thigh muscles working. Try to maybe get the thighs parallel to the ceiling, and then slowly take it down on the exhale. Do that 2 more times. Press into the hands and the feet. Inhale, lift up as high as you need to go. It doesn't have to be all the way up, but just to get that lift of the seat, lower slowly with the exhale. 1 more time, pressing into hands and feet. Inhale, lift. Lengthen the neck as you lift the chest up, and then slowly take it all the way back down to the seat. All right, from here, I'm gonna have you walk your feet to the left a bit, and then further towards you. And you're gonna walk your hands forward, and you're gonna let your knees point to the right. So you're seated with your lower legs, maybe pointing a little further behind you. You can kind of grab them and position yourself like that. So both knees bent. So your, your left thigh can be over the foot, or you can bring the foot out from under it. So if you need to see more visual, I'm seated like this. Right. And then once you're in this position, you're going to bring your right hand behind your back, right behind the hip. You can be on fingertips or palm. You could have it on a block if you're seated on something, especially to give yourself enough height. And then I'm going to have you inhale and extend your left arm straight up to the ceiling. And then with your exhale, you're going to take a slow twist to the right. So this is a nice open twist, plenty of space for the belly. Once you've turned far enough, keep sitting tall, keep the upper body vertical, just lower the arm, and then reach for your right knee with your left hand. So right hand behind you, pressing down. Maybe you crawl it further back behind you toward the left hip. Maybe you sit taller, and then take about 4 or 5 breaths. Continue rotating. If it feels nice to let your head slowly turn to look back, great. If it feels better to keep the neck neutral, do that. So you're working to keep a nice long spine, and then you're just rotating on the axis of your spine. So you're not leaning to the side, you're sitting tall and twisting, rotating more. Your chest is facing the right. And then when you're ready, you're going to exhale and then make your way out of the twist. We're gonna switch sides. So you're gonna just lean back enough that you can kind of wiggle your feet out from that side. Roll to the left hip, and then just gonna walk the lower legs back. And you're just gonna come to sit on the other side. So lower legs kind of slightly pointing to the side and back behind you. Have the knees as wide as you need. They can be closer together, they can be wider for some if that feels better. And then sit up nice and tall. As you bring your left hand behind you, go ahead and find a nice kind of anchoring of the hand. Excuse me, and then as you inhale, right arm reaches up nice and high, almost like you're trying to touch the ceiling. So you're getting a lot of length here. Then keep the length as you exhale and begin to twist to the left. Continue twisting, so feel that twist travel all the way up the spine from the bottom to the top. And then when you're ready, continue the tall seat as you lower the hand down. Top of the head still reaches up. And then if you need to, walk that back hand a little further behind you and open the chest further to the left. Maybe let your head turn slightly to look back. And then with your exhale, unwind, come out of the twist. Staying seated, you're going to extend your right leg out to the corner. So you can kind of lean back And then just let that leg stretch out at an angle. And then you just come into center to sit. Left heel can be right in front of you. So like I said, if you need something under the hips like a blanket or a towel or something to elevate your seat, do that so that you'll be able to sit up nice and tall. And then as you sit tall, stretch your arms out, inhale. As you exhale, you're going to take a subtle twist to the left, just enough that your right arm is now directly over your right leg. So it's at that same angle. Now you're going to reach through the right fingertips, start to reach past the toes. Take the hand down, grab whatever's available. Maybe the toes are, maybe the ankle or calf, which are a little bit more upright. Look to the back left hand, stretch it to the ceiling. So if this is enough of a stretch, stay here. If you're going further, reach that left arm further over the extended leg. Maybe take that right hand further down. So maybe it's here for you, maybe it's here, depending on where you need the stretch. You can also, if it's easier if you have a block, instead of reaching for the leg, you can rest this right forearm onto the block. So maybe here is a better place to keep the chest open and from collapsing. So you don't want to turn toward the leg, you want to keep the chest open and then lengthen that underside of the waist over the leg as you get a big side stretch through that top side. And then as you inhale, slowly come back upright, arms outstretched. Exhale, twist to face forward. Nice. Then as you inhale, reach the arms to the ceiling. Now on your exhale, tip forward just a little bit here. Yeah, keep the back body long. The more you keep from collapsing, you should feel a little stretch in the lower back. And keep the spine long, take the hands down. Pull the chest forward, shoulders back. Maybe walk the hands a little further out. Now only go so far as you feel comfortable. So keep in mind your belly is coming over the foot, over the leg, so that heel is going to be close to your hips. And then maybe you're walking yourself forward a little bit more to stretch the lower back. Maybe you're good staying a little bit more upright. So this is a little gentle stretch here. Gets a little bit into that inner right thigh. It's a little bit into that outer. We'll get a little bit more into the hips in a moment. Another option too is to have hands or forms on blocks or books if you have them. So I would like to give options with and without props because I know everyone's at home right now. You may not have access to all the props that you would at a studio. When you're ready, walking your hands back, come all the way back upright to sit. And then you're going to switch your legs. So you're going to start to bring your right heel in a bit, extend your left leg all the way out, and then bring that right heel right close to you, be bent. And then sit up nice and tall. So left toes point up, foot is flexed. Stretch the arms out, inhale. With your exhale, twist to the right. Just a slight amount, angle arm over leg. Reach all the way as far out as you can. Go down for the foot or forearm block. Look to the right hand. Reach it up to the ceiling. Get a lot of height first before you even think about going further over the leg. So you may not want to go as far over. You may want to stay upright a bit more so the chest doesn't collapse, the shoulders don't hunch. And then a few breaths here. Go as far as you feel comfortable going to get your stretch. And then inhaling all the way back up, arms outstretched. Exhale, facing forward. Inhale, reach for the ceiling. And then keeping the back body long, exhale, start to tip forward. Just straighten it ahead. And then when you're ready, take the arms down without punching forward. So shoulders back, lengthen forward past your right heel. And then maybe walk the hands a little further out. Maybe you don't need to. Maybe eventually, if you're using blocks, forearms on blocks, any height, or if you're easily able to reach the ground, it's not uncomfortable, you can do that as well. So just taking a few breaths in this gentle fold. And then take your time, walk your hands back toward you, come all the way back upright. And then, excuse me, go ahead and move that heel a little further away from you. Bend your left knee. And then you're going to cross your legs in front. You're going to sit in Sukhasana. So once again, blocks can be nearby if you're going to want them. So this is going to get into the outer hip. So you're either going to stay with your left shin crossed in front of the right. If you know your hips are very open and folding forward like this isn't going to get enough into the outer hips, you may need to stack the legs like so. If this feels too intense and it's maybe forcing you up like this and not able to get the legs flush, then keep it crossed. So decide which one works better for you. Try to get the legs completely stacked if you're doing this spiral log. Try to keep the feet flexed either way you're going in this. And then sit up tall, inhale, shoulders back. With your exhale, take it slow as you tip forward, keeping your back flat for as long as you can, and then eventually bring the hands forward. And then just like the other variation, with the one leg extended, however you need to get into this fold, maybe the hands walk forward, maybe blocks will help you to get into the fold, maybe you're easily reaching the ground. So it's going to be different for everyone. Try to keep both hips anchored, both feet flexed, pressing away from one another, and just leaning over the legs without hunching toward the ground, just extending forward over the crossed legs. Then let your hands walk back toward you to sit upright. Switch the way you're crossed. So if you had left in front, move right in front. If you had left on top, right leg on top. So feet flexed, hips anchored, sit tall, shoulders back, spine long. Take it slow as you exhale, tip straight forward. Maybe pause and reassess. Notice when the back wants to round or the shoulders want to hunch forward. Keep the shoulders drawing down the back, away from the ears. Keep lengthening forward. Take it slow. Hands walk forward if needed. They stay closer to you if needed. Maybe coming to blocks, forearms. So maybe just a little different on this side from the last side. Just breathing wherever you are in your hip stretch. And then walking your hands back toward you, come up to sit. And then unstack or uncross the legs and stretch your legs forward. So you can choose to go wide with the legs if you like, or maybe keeping them just wide enough, further wide than the hips that you can fold forward. So we're just going to finish with a forward fold here. So flexing the feet. So you can use a towel to loop around the feet or a strap or something. You can do blocks, or you can just reach for the toes or calves or the ground. Take an inhale, take a moment, reach the arms up. Then take a slight bend in the knees and sit a little taller. With your exhale, start to pitch forward just a bit. You should feel a stretch in the lower back. Keep the arms reaching out. Then on the exhale, start to lower the hands down. Start to straighten the legs a bit more. So maybe you're reaching for the toes or the calves or the ground, or you're looping whatever around the feet. So just taking forward fold to stretch the upper body long, legs extended, soften the shoulders, maybe just about 5 or 6 breaths. As you inhale, make your way slowly back upright. And then turning the toes out slightly, start to bend the knees. If you need to, you can kind of grab one shin at a time. You're going to bring the feet together in front of you, the soles of the feet, but not all the way to your hips. You want them to be a little further away, but just keeping the feet together. So your legs are in a diamond shape, holding your shins just below the knees, roll the shoulders back a couple of times. It's going to have you start to rock, just a little swaying side to side. Then I'm going to eventually have you close your eyes and just move your body however you want to move your body. So I like to kind of lift one hip at a time, maybe even start to circle all the way around. Maybe continue to move the shoulders around as you do this, or roll the head, whatever feels good. Maybe make some sounds. Maybe give an exhale with a sigh. Start to feel yourself just releasing of anything you need to let go of. So any tension, any anxiety, any stress, just breathe it out as you let your body move. And then when you feel ready to start to slow things down, make the movement slower and smaller and subtler until you eventually come all the way back through center, sitting tall, opening your eyes slowly. We're going to come into Shavasana, final resting pose. You're welcome to lay onto your side using pillows, blankets if you'd like. You can lay on a couch. If you do happen to have 2 blocks and a bolster, I'll show that setup. So once again, not required. Just making sure that you're comfortable and not laying flat on your back. So your side is fine. Angled, elevated, you can sit in like a lounge chair or something like that. If you have the blocks, you're going to sit up like that. Bolster goes over the blocks. Sit in front of it, hips all the way. And then when you're ready to lay down, go ahead and just release yourself all the way onto whatever you're laying upon. Whatever position your legs prefer. Maybe they want to stretch out. Maybe you want to keep your feet on the mat wide, knees bent. Maybe you want to cross your legs or even bring the soles of the feet together. So especially if you are on that bolster, notice that the shoulders hunched up. Once you lay back, draw them down. Everyone can stand together and draw the shoulders a little further down the back. And then once you feel comfortable, take an inhale as you close your eyes, breathe in through the nose, open your mouth one more time and give a nice long sigh. Let it all out. Release. Allow yourself to soften, to rest in Shavasana. Free to stay in Shavasana as long as you would like. You're welcome to just finish right here. If you'd like to join me to get up, take your time. Maybe start to work a little bit of movement into toes and fingers. And then if you feel ready, start to press yourself upright. So if you're on bolsters, straight up, or shift to one side a bit. That's a little easier to give yourself support. And then you get your way up slowly, whenever you're ready. And in your own time, coming to a comfortable seat. Let one hand rest over your belly. Just finding baby's home, making that connection. Lay the other hand over your heart, making that connection. Take a moment here to close your eyes once more. Keeping your eyes closed, transfer your hands together at your heart. Press the palms together, sit a little taller as you inhale. Let the heart lift to the hands. With your exhale, gently bow your head toward your fingertips. Have a wonderful afternoon. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you feel good. I hope you're staying safe and healthy. And I'll see you next time. Take care.